forces to assure that all evolution is progressing. They coordinate the Elohim and report to the great divine director. They assist mighty Mercury and are the etheric embodiment of oneness. They are the great central sun's ambassadors to the divine and are pure love and light. While their essence truly penetrates all levels of existence and dimensions, some of the primary sources or residences of these beings are Saturn, Venus, Orion, Shambhala, Alpha Centauri, and Polaris. We are among you today to assist the Masters in fulfilling a greater plan of evolution for evolvement of consciousness. If you liken this description to an organizational chart structure, and then they add, which we observe thrills and delights the majority of you, you might say that we work for the Ascended Masters. We are intermediaries for their thoughts and actions. The vibrations on Earth are so harsh and negative, and their radiance is so refined and intense, that we comprise only a small part of the stepping stones that allow their direction to filter through to all of you there. For example, there is the group of high masters who comprise the division of the solar cross, and they say that's another area that they've not introduced. They are those who are among your essence and who orchestrate the energy movements for the extraterrestrial fleets assisting Earth. The common names whom you recognize are Ashtar, Monka, Sutech, Haton, and Athena. There are so many, and these are only representative of that entire administrative fleet. Monka, by the way, was the first one that came. I never heard of that name before either. And then I saw months later in books and stuff, you know, but he was the first one, claimed to be the head of Tribunal Council. I remember when that one came through, I went marching back up to Santa Fe again, and I said, oh, great, now they're calling me Captain Kirk, just what I wanted, you know, here, etc. And to find out that Monka, the name, the messages, the information, the way he started the messages, ended them, it's all consistent. They're coming through many souls. And in fact, the key was when I first got my message from Monka, he started it, greetings in the light of our most radiant one, and ended it with the word Adonai. I'd never heard of the word Adonai either. And later, I saw this book by Richard Miller, months later, and I found out in 1957, all the way through the 70s, he talks about how many times he had been contacted by the same solar cross fleet. And I saw, you know, like 2 inches of messages from these beings. Kedar Monka, M-O-N-K-A. I was spelling it M-O-N-K-A. And I'm opening this book and looking at it, and I see Monka. I thought, oh, I know this being. You know, he's introduced himself to me. First line on his messages, greetings in the light of the most radiant one. I already have a computer full of greetings in the light of the most radiant one signed by Monka. Ken, what would you do with that? Exactly. For me, it was like the data. It was like the research that I was so hungry for, you know, and that's when, you know, little by little I began to say, something is going on down here that we have to get a handle on, or at least understand, or try to. But Monka is the one. Now, it's interesting, but this Giuliano then sent through like the mission statement for the command and the celestial groups. I'd love to read this to you. He added this. He says, this group is governed by the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command and report to the Council of Orion. They comprise the strategic governing body that has primary responsibility for the following. And he gives you now the 7 mission statements for why they're here. 1, to help assure that the Earth will not shift on its axis, although this cannot be guaranteed today because of the electromagnetic energies, lowered frequencies, due to the influx of negative vibrations and lowered sun frequencies that support and penetrate the force field. But what I learned from them is they're beaming energy beams into the Earth right now. It's like toothpicks trying to hold it because the energy currents are getting so heavy with the negativity, and it's mixing with the gravitational pull that the Earth could go like this, so they're actually trying to stabilize it and to hold it as best they can. 2, to raise the paramagnetic energy frequencies to a level that supports a greater production of food on the planet. 3, to assist in the etheric preparations of the human bodies that support their physical, emotional, and spiritual transition into the 5th dimension. The 4th reason for them being here, to raise consciousness of the souls in embodiment who wish to understand the universal laws which ultimately lead to the control of the electron. 5, to increase the thought manifestation powers of humans through knowledge and understanding of the tensor concepts. Now, Sutech is sending through in this not sacred journey to Atlantis, but the next book, a bunch of information on the tensor concepts, which goes right into the workings of the mind. And on my own doctor's degree, I don't have an official minor in psychology, but I have something like 28 hours in psychology, because every time I could take an elective, I would take it. And I understand psychology, and I love that area, so I am really excited to be able to take the information he's going to send through and match it with that which I already know in my own field, because I feel like I have a minor of almost 30 hours or so in psychology on my program. To build physical structures on Earth that will contribute to the increased paramagnetic energy frequencies and which will enable all humans to be at one-ment, the word is also atonement, at one-ment with the Creator of the All. To create an interdimensional communication system with Earth and the galactic command that will allow the Earth to move from a planet to the position of a star in the universe. Thus, the coined expression, starbase. I love that. This plan has been on the drawing board for centuries. It officially began operations in 1929. I don't know, maybe that was the trauma that everyone... But at that point, more and more souls from 29 on began to be reincarnated. So, you know, we're grown up now, etc. It began with the influx of reincarnated souls from other sections of the universe who volunteered to come to Earth on assignment to help rebuild the beloved Terra. The awakened souls who are in embodiment today are among all of you. They walk with poise and dignity and are ready to do God's work. They understand that only love and light can prevail in the higher dimensions and know that in the path to enlightenment that they stand to lead the many back to the higher truths. Then he says, we hope that this answers your question of concern. If it does not, I would be delighted to elaborate more, and if it does, then perhaps we could entertain you and the future audience with further explanations. Well, I felt at that point, it came through rather rapidly, that I had enough. I didn't understand then how it would relate. And I was kind of drawn at that point to move to this other transparency that I showed you about the Tetrahedron. I wasn't quite sure, but Michael Green, when we had met him in London, and George Wingfield, this is the only one that they had given us, you know, as a copy when we were looking and comparing notes. Well, this I was told to go over and to get, and I couldn't even find where it was. I had packed it, you know, and I looked and looked and looked, and I thought, why am I going after this? But I had mine, and I looked at that, and I realized then that before I left for England, through the guidance of Morgan, who was trying to connect me with Leonie at that time on crop circles. Now, the way these beings work is, you know, and this is no offense on crop circles, I am so fascinated with it and I love it, but it's not my mission. And it's like I am so busy, I don't want to bring things through on it, and I keep getting thrown back into the arena to bring through something on crop circles, which I find is fascinating. They sent through, on August 11th, they woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, requested gently and pleasantly if I would get up and go to the computer and bring through some information on crop circles. Well, obviously miffed and not being able to go back to sleep, but so dutiful and disciplined, I get up, you know, it's like, what do you want now, you know, and I knew that it wasn't, I knew it was important, but I thought, crop circles? I was going to England for a book signing tour on We the Arcturians. And yet, crop circles, you know, I said, okay. So I got up in the morning and I asked Kathumi. I said, I ask that I be placed in a protective field of white light and receive a transmission from you. Please provide me with information and an explanation of the crop circles in England and other parts of the world. I didn't know what question, I just made it general. Now this first part in August doesn't relate to this one right now. I'll leave this up because last weekend is when I brought through the interpretation from them as to what this means And when I was coming here worried, because I thought, how am I going to relate this to this conference, and then to find out, like I said, that it was evolving around the whole thing. So I'm going to read you the one in August, and I really apologize for having to read these, but when I try to paraphrase their words, a lot is lost in the meaning, so I have to read and look down, but normally I don't like to do that. Kazumi says, get a load of this opener. Dearest daughter in the light of our most radiant one. I, Kathumi, welcome this opportunity to come through this frequency this morning and provide information regarding the nature of the crop circles that are appearing throughout the world. It is not I, however, who is the expert in this area. Therefore, I will turn the frequency over to my brother and colleague in the light, Sutech, who is eager to offer the command's interpretation of this phenomena. Please wait one moment while we make the necessary preparations. So I had to wait, and the energy shifted. And now, yes, Sutech, it's like he's a good buddy of mine. You know, I call him Big S. You know, Big S came through, and you know, in fact, it's really funny. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting too nonchalant with this, you know, and I'll say, and I heard one day, like telepathically, I was saying, hey, Big S, you know, can you give me an answer? And I heard this, yo. And I thought, how am I to interpret that? And I suppose maybe I'm allowed to get away with it in this lifetime, but don't be surprised in next lifetime if you all see me as a beggar in Bangladesh. I have a feeling I might pay for this, but in the meantime, I'm having fun. He says, good morning, sister. I come as your guide and information expert to provide basic instructions and data that may intrigue you and the minds with whom you may wish to share this information. I am Sutech, the astrophysicist and ship's communication commander. I speak today for the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command and welcome this opportunity to come through this frequency and to offer another intriguing theory as to the nature of the crop circles appearing on the planet. To begin, the crop circles are created throughout the year by the command to test the soils and the radionic energies that appear on the surface of Earth. The shape of each image left on the surface of the planet creates a radionic surge that penetrates the Earth with such magnitude that it allows all of us to get a sensor reading of the stability of the planet's electromagnetic structure. And didn't you say you were concluding with the symbolism yesterday? These tests are critical at this time, for Earth's electromagnetic flux is unstable. This instability affects not only the planet's ability to hold its present axis position, but also its ability to support life with the crops and food products it provides. Earth provides foods to its inhabitants by creating paramagnetic vortexes which attract radionic energies from the cosmic forces. These forces penetrate the soil and terrain. In so doing, the electromagnetic forces combine with the electrolytic fields of Earth to provide currents of life, as we call them, that support and sustain photosynthesis. In this condition, maximum energy is supplied to the planet life in all energy forms. Throughout the last decades, we have observed that Earth is slowly losing its capacity to provide paramagnetic forces that unite cosmic energies with energies on Earth. Therefore, we are creating these designs on the planet's surface for you. The purpose is twofold. One, we are conducting experiments, especially in the area of England, to determine if our efforts can affect the planet's ability to produce greater paramagnetic forces that will support more plant life. Two, we are trying to produce a raised harmonics condition. Now that gets into your mathematics. For the planet through the selected shapes we choose to create on the planet's surface. If one begins to study the Pythagorean concept, and by the way, in one of Kathumi's former lifetimes, he was Pythagoras. He says, if one begins to study the Pythagorean concept of the music of the spheres, one understands that all is one with the universe and that all of creation is sound energy. In fact, all reality manifested in the physical world is thought energy solidified through sound vibrations. All cosmic forces, which one might view as the macrocosm, depending upon one's perception of creation, are contained within that microcosm. While the microcosm is the individual and the electron that supports each atom within the human body, this microcosm can also be viewed as the Earth. To us, we view the present crisis on Earth as having resulted from separated attitudes which have created thought patterns that have removed the planet from its natural state of being one, the Hopi, again, with the universe and all universes contained within. Therefore, our work and experiments are conducted to restore this condition and unite your world with the unified force that supports life. In reality, the Earth and its inhabitants are never separated from the unified field, because this force contains all intelligence and supports all life as one. What has been created on Earth, however, through experimentation, technology, and research, is a situation that is tampered with the laws of the one and created conditions that have separated the parts. This situation has caused dis-ease, disease, which to us means out of harmony. And harmony is the mathematics again. Out of harmony means that one is out of the harmonics with the sound frequencies that support the unified field. The harmonics come from light and sound frequencies which create all life in existence as you know it to be. Our work with the crop circles is conducted with the intent to bring the harmonics back into balance. We choose the area near Stonehenge because this geographical area is one of the primary vortexes which affects the entire world. When one studies ley lines and grid lines and learns of the frequency patterns contained within these many vortexes, one realizes there are vortexes that contain several frequency points. Therefore, these areas have the capacity to affect the entire planet more powerfully than any other points of penetrance. Stonehenge and its surrounding area is such a location. So that's why they're there primarily. From the beginning of time, we have known that the vortexes that support the highest energy for distributing and balancing electromagnetic currents within the planet are among you. That is why sacred structures appear all over the world, and why they have been constructed for centuries. Structures like pyramids, round towers, domes, pillars, geodesic complexities are strategically placed to assure the balance of paramagnetic forces around the Earth. Unfortunately, this condition has changed on the beloved Terra in the last 100 years of your Earth time. Presently, the Earth's currents are not balanced, and because they are not, there are many undesirable occurrences that have resulted, causing much pain and suffering. We have heard your cries for assistance, and now offer help to those who wish for us to provide a way in which the Earth might redeem itself and lift itself out of its dilemma. Our work in the area of England is essential for the planet if the inhabitants of Earth wish to move beyond the year 2012. This is so. Our work with symbols and radionic experiments provide needed frequencies to change that electromagnetic condition of your world. Each shape we use on the planet's surface carries with it a unique vibration or harmonic. Everything in creation has its own vibration. Nothing is duplicated. That is one of the primary keys of creation. Know this to be true, and you will have mastered half of the curriculum of Earth and the world in which you reside. The patterns we bring to the world are those which contain the harmonics and vibrations lacking on Earth. They're putting them back in. These patterns are also the strongest symbols known for producing the resonance needed to penetrate Earth's core and to radiate the appropriate levels of electromagnetic energies to other areas of the planet. The language through the symbols is nothing other than the language of life. You will also find that the pattern of placement of these symbols correlates with the heavens. Now, I wouldn't know that, but I'm assuming that you probably have data on that. This must be so, for the macrocosm is always contained within the microcosm. Then Sutech says, I hope my response assists you in understanding the nature and purpose for the crop circles appearing on your planet. And he goes on and he signs off for the Tribunal Council, etc. So, I got that, and then last week I'm directed to move to this, not knowing why or how it relates, but I pull that one up and I'm thinking, okay, now how am I going to relate it? What am I going to say? So I go back and I started connecting then with Cthulhu, and I was asking him, and what I have found about these beings is that each one has a different personality. They each have different job descriptions. Notice how Sutech said, I'm the astrophysicist? Whenever I need a direct answer, I ask Sutech. I learned this the hard way. See, Cthulhu has the title World Teacher. Whenever I ask Cthulhu something, I get a lesson. I never get a direct answer. And here's how it works. For example, Sutech, astrophysicist, gives direct answers, usually combining physics, universal law, and astronomy. Here, I did this one time. I said, what is the blue ray? I wanted to know what the blue ray was. So I asked Sutech. This is how he responds. The blue ray is the source of energy radiating from Saturn that governs the lower mental plane in humans. It is positioned in the throat area and vibrates to the note of G. It is considered to be the 5th chakra. It is considered to be 5 1/2 tones from Earth when one understands the theory of the music of the spheres. Therefore, it opens up the doorway to the higher mental planes. Very direct, almost like a physics textbook kind of answer. Almoria, who reportedly was Solomon in one lifetime, etc., you know, another ascended master, is supposedly the master of law and order. Stern. Okay, very, very stern compared to Cthulhu and some of the others. So I asked Almoria, I wanted, well, what's your interpretation? I said, what is the blue ray? The only answer I get through the computer, it is the law. That's it. Nothing more. You understand that, etc. And we've got a part in Sacred Journey to Atlantis that shows how he sent in some keys and codes. He summarized the entire universe and everything in like, what, 3 paragraphs, Gene? 3 paragraphs. 3 little paragraphs. He said, you understand this, and this is your ticket home. You've got it. And you look at that, and oh, you know, but Cthulhu went on for 200 pages teaching, you know. Cthulhu, and when I asked him, and by the way, some of his other embodiments that I've read in books is he not only was Pythagoras, but he was Shah Jahan, who built the Taj Mahal in another lifetime. He was also John the Beloved, the favorite apostle to Christ. He played a part of that team. And it reported also St. Francis of Assisi in another lifetime. And in his last lifetime, when he made his ascension, I guess through the Himalayas, he was from India. And he went to England to become an Oxford scholar. And it was during that lifetime he had the name Kuthumi, which now some of us condense to Kuthumi or Kutumi, and that's the name that he left the planet with. But those were just a little bit of his resume. You know, he has quite an impressive resume, I would say. Yeah. Anyway, when I asked Cthulhu if he would define the blue ray, I won't even read it to you, and I hope he's not offended, but he really is a bit long-winded. And instead, what I got was a lesson on 2 individuals who needed to learn lessons of truth and honesty, and went on and on and on and on for pages trying to exemplify the point of the blue ray. So,
there's a picture of the blue ray under Judith's chair over there. We'll talk later during my. Please pull it out.
Okay.
It's a blue ray in a portrait. This is the New York City, the original oil painting, Warwick Museum, the Mother of the World in blue.
Oh, how beautiful! Well, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
That's the word version of what's behind you.
Okay.
I'll link for this afternoon. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joe. Okay, so then I went back to Sutech and I said, okay, please give me an explanation of the Tetrahedron crop circle that appeared in England on July 17th, 1991. It's the only one I had. I didn't know why I was doing it. I felt stupid, but I knew I had to do it. So he says, good morning, Sister of the Light. I come to assist you in the interpretation of your request and welcome this opportunity to address through you the distinguished audience to whom you will deliver these words. Okay, one of them called you intelligent, now you're being called distinguished. So I think that's really nice that they honor you that way. He says, I am Sutech, the ambassador so designated to represent the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command. They're very formal when the information comes through, very formal. With these introductions now complete, allow me to begin the interpretation. The symbol that was placed on the beloved Terra is that which radiates the numerical significance of the music of the spheres. Now they're going back to challenge us into the numerology again. It highlights the connectedness of the universe, which you perceive the macrocosm to be, to the mind energy fields of the humans on Earth. It contains the radiation of the thought patterns emanating from the lords of Saturn, who are governed by Sananda. Now they claim the being Sananda is another name for Jesus. And they also claim or call him the most radiant one, but they also honor all of the beings, Buddha and every one of them there. They just say they've all been radiant masters. It's not that they favor one, but they just keep referring to the most radiant one. It is that which will transform all consciousness of any individual who chooses to tune into its frequency, and will bring a centeredness and calmness to the hearts of those who have waited so long to be filled. He's talking about this section in here right now, this tetrahedron, and what he was saying later on is that this particular form, if you place it over your head with your mind, this three-sided pyramid over your mind, you know, like pretend it's there or visualize it's there, that you're going to be raised in your consciousness very rapidly into the fifth dimension. And this is starting this action on the planet right now, and he goes on to explain. The radiation that penetrates Earth from its essence comes from Polaris. It connects the power of Polaris, which is the star that is directing Earth into its transition for the next 2,000 years and beyond. There's a lot in Sacred Journey to Atlantis about Polaris. Polaris is the source of the blue ray, which governs truth, communication, and the law. It is that which is the keeper of the rules and regulations which originate through the Council of Orion. The power of Polaris will be felt more intensely by the year 2012 and is only now beginning to fulfill its role in helping Earth to transcend from a third-dimensional reality to a fifth. The symbolic representation in the crop circle designate positions, and he's referring to this one up here, positions the movement of this body Polaris and depicts it in its point of power. So evidently this has to be like north or something. You know, is that okay? All right, this has to be, because he would not have picked those certain stars to describe it. The rotation of the heavens, and that must be these spirals going around or something. The rotation of the heavens is constant and never ending. Therefore, the Earth, as well as all celestial bodies, is subject to never-ending changes and influences to assure that the evolutionary plan will continue. So this is also like a symbolic representation. For Earth, the position of north in the coming age is that which will provide the strength it needs to sustain the changes it will undergo. And the Native Americans always know too, the bear is north, and north is the point of power. So they are showing that symbolic representation in this one. The electromagnetic lines of the Earth are in harmony from a mathematical perspective with true north. I didn't know what that meant, but I think Leonie's just confirmed that. This location was selected, and they're talking about Barbary Castle now. This location was selected for this particular imprint, for it was the location of least resistance on the face of the Earth to connect with the power of Polaris. That's why they chose that section of land. What this means is that emanating from Polaris is a laser light of programmed instruction and information that contains universal laws and truths. This is filtered through the essence of the lords of Saturn who rule this parsec of the universe. So evidently, and you noticed how in this, what is the blue ray, he said Saturn was 5.5 tones from Earth, if you understand the music of the spheres, etc. Somehow that has to be an intermediary point then, coming from Polaris through Saturn, which is governing Earth. And if you're an astronomer, I'm hoping this information will help, because I sure don't understand it at all. None of this, but I'm just the messenger. Please, Joe, let me go on, okay? This curricula of light and love is necessary for all systems proposing entrance into the fifth dimension. Theirs is a code of honor and ethics that must be strictly adhered to in the fifth dimension, and this code is only now being programmed to Earth through this symbol. The tetrahedron is the numerical, symbolic representation of mind energy combined with matter, and I suppose I'd have to go and look that up to see exactly what that means. It is that mathematical representation that connects the finite mind of humans to the infinite mind of God. It is contained in the center of this symbol, for its significance lies at the heart of what is trying to be accomplished in imprinting this radionic vibration into the Earth. While the tetrahedron appears to be two-dimensional on the surface of your planet, it is actually a three-dimensional figure in the fifth dimension. To confuse you even more, it is actually a fourth and a fifth-dimensional symbol in the higher realms, which is a subject of mastery left for the years after the year 2012. The individual can benefit from the radionics of this symbol through meditation by placing the etheric representation of the tetrahedron over the head. That's where they're asking you to meditate and visualize this over your head. This vision will create an energy column charged with positive electromagnetic ions that raise consciousness. When an individual does this often enough, the mind's limitations are slowly removed and replaced with an expanded consciousness that connects it more with the unified field. Therefore, the tetrahedron symbol is only now penetrating the Earth's essence, making it possible for any individual who so chooses to connect with its power. The superimposed concentric rings going around here unify the electromagnetic field surrounding its power. So and since the circle is like God or the unification or something, that's why they've placed that going around there. The line of contact emanating from the northern positioner, which would, I gather, this line here, this long line going through there, from the northern positioner, assures the connection from the source Polaris. The three circles, one being a ball of intense light energy, also connect the point of the tetrahedron to the great central sun. It is the numerical significance of oneness remembered. The ring of endurance was positioned at the base to serve, in this one here they're calling the ring of endurance, to serve as the stabilizing force to Earth. It anchors the energy from the active fifth-dimensional celestial bodies into the Earth and serves as a simplified bridge between the higher dimensions and the lower ones. It is shown by a straight line connecting the higher worlds to the lower worlds through the energy of the mind and heart, and serves to stabilize the paramagnetic forces that are being brought through from the celestial fleet. The center of this circle provides an interdimensional portal right in here, or opening for beaming the energy from our ships to the core of the Earth. So this one right here has to be extremely powerful as an electromagnetic force. This is necessary to help stabilize the electromagnetic energies of the gravitational pull that is pulling the Earth off its axis point. The spiral, connected, concentric, layered, polyfaceted dodecahedron. It's got to be this one because I counted. There's 12 little things in here. And yeah, I heard you say yesterday dodecahedron is 12 something. Although here it looks like a flat thing, but I'm sure in their fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension it's somehow 12-sided. Is the mathematical equivalent on the etheric to the music of the spheres. It contains the vibration of the oneness, the macrocosm, microcosm, the unified field of energy, and the great central sun. It is symbolic of the path that all must follow to journey into the higher realms, for all paths to many kingdoms lead from this point. And I think, if you notice that everything is all connected, but this is like the beginning into the maze, this must be like Earth or something, going through the music of the spheres and then going through all of this. That's the way I'm kind of interpreting that. I don't know how else to read it. He says, this is equivalent to the theories and answers that you are all trying to understand today, is it not? He asks. Is it not likened to the path that you are on in understanding your theories of quantum physics and other higher studies? The placement of this symbol is such that it shows the beginning point of the journey, moving one's consciousness, beginning point, moving one's consciousness through the mathematical variations that comprise the oneness. In the mathematical equations are the keys for all creation in the physical manifest world, who they continually say come through color and sound, for all of creation is placed into the physical form from light through sound. So that, and then you put this on your head, the tetrahedron, increase the positive ionization, etc. It's like, wow, we got tickets home, right? The journey through this multi-dimensional symbol then takes humanity through the consciousness of the mind to higher realms of thought, ruled by the positive electromagnetic frequencies. In this process, the higher realms of the ascended masters govern the paths that each will take, but it is through the intervention of the celestial forces from primarily the 5th and 6th dimensions that all knowledge and progress is obtained. That's like the connection to the ETs. The path has no ending, for it is ongoing back to the great central sun. So journey with us to God consciousness and oneness. Begin from Earth with the center of the dodecahedron, which can be interpreted as the symbol of 2 stars of David. There's 6 points in a Star of David. He's saying in the 5th dimension, 1 isn't enough anymore. We have to have 2. And he's calling it and that's the number 12 that John was talking about, the perfection. To the threshold of becoming a 5th dimensional human, which is the race called Adam Kadmon. The paths which provide assistance to all knowledge are equal. One connect, and he's talking here like up to God, up to the celestial forces. It's like they're basically pretty, it must be like a pretty even triangle or something. There's what I gather from that. The paths which provide assistance to all knowledge are equal. One connecting you to the ascended realms and universal law, and the other to the assistance beyond from the 5th dimensional celestial fleets. So this connects that one with the celestial fleets, with us on Earth, through sound and color vibrations, and through this whole, the tetrahedron and what that does with consciousness. Make the journey in oneness with the mind, seeing the holographic universe all existing in this present moment of time. Breathe deeply the life force of the unified field of intelligence. Become one with it. Know that your destiny and that of Earth's is dependent upon how deeply you breathe. I close this communication now, but thank you again for this opportunity to provide our explanation of the symbol that is destined to change your future. To the group in America who first hear these words, we who represent the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command and all the celestial forces offer you, he's referring to this group here, offer you the challenge of accepting this symbol as the gift to Earth from the Celestial Command. Do you have the courage to accept it and all that it is destined to bring in its transformation? We watch and wait to see if you accept our tribute and gift to you. Should you do so, know without doubt that in its acceptance, you are opening the doorway to the portal that will allow you direct passage into the Father's kingdom that has many mansions. I remain your brother and servant in the coming days of the tribulation. We stand ready to reduce the trauma that appears to be evident, that can only assist through the path of love, light, and open-mindedness. Adonai, my colleagues, I close now in the light of the most radiant one. I am Sutech.